can invite the chair to give the House.
Speaker, covers the key issues in the report, which will be categorized in two sections, namely key issues in local governments and key audit matters, and that is to say general and cross-cutting queries in the local governments. This report, Right Honorable Speaker, has been compiled based on the findings of the Auditor General and observations of the committee, mainly to show the current state of local governments and to aid policymakers in improving the performance of local governments as highlighted below. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to start with key issues in local governments. And I will specifically start with GOVT 576, and that is Bulisa District Local Government, which has a qualified opinion. And under that, Right Honorable Speaker, I will start with non-recognition of advances paid to various contractors. The audit report revealed after a review of the IMFS payment file that the district made advances, payments amounting to 638,562,778 shilling to various suppliers. However, a review of the trial balance noted that respective journal entries were not done to recognize them as receivables. Right Honorable Speaker, the accounting officer gave his part of the story, and the committee observed the following. One, the committee observed that there was no, the explanation given by the accounting officer did not have any valid evidence. Number two, there was negligence on the side of the accounting officer by failing to prepare the necessary ledgers for purposes of posting these transactions to the trial balance. And therefore, the committee recommended that the accounting officer should be held personally liable for failure to prepare the necessary ledgers and omitting transactions from the trial balance. 1.1 looks at absence of a schedule of verified arrears. Right Honorable Speaker, the audit report revealed after a review of note 24 on page 25 of the financial statements that the entity disclosed payables amounting to 238,839,782 shilling. However, there were no schedules of verified arrears by internal audit department attached showing the breakdown of amounts owed to the respective suppliers and employees. The accounting officer explained that this was an oversight and the schedules would be availed. And the committee observed the following, that the failure by the accounting officer to provide verified creditors and other liability account list that tally with the schedule of domestic arrears contravene Guideline 6.9 of the Financial Reporting Guide 2008. And the recommendations are: 1, the accounting officer should be held personally liable by PSST. 2, the accounting officer should ensure that verified creditors and other liabilities list are always availed for purposes of preparation of financial statements. Number 1.2, absence of schedule of deposit received. The audit report revealed after a review of note 25 on page 26 of the financial statement that the district a total deposit, and that is under YLP and GOVT, amounting to Uganda shilling 482,985,250 shilling. However, there were no detailed schedules showing amounts received from Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, repayments made and the outstanding amounts as the year end. The accounting officer explained that this was an oversight and the schedules would be availed. The committee observed that the lack of schedules is a sign of negligence by the accounting officer and his staff, but also create rooms for misappropriation. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee provided recommendation and we refer to the earlier recommendation we gave. Number 3, which is 1.3, unaccounted for funds. The audit report revealed after reviewing expenditure vouchers that payments amounting to 240,409,967 shilling were not accounted for at the time of the audit. For example, there were no payment sheets, no reports, no receipts, and no invoices. The committee observed that this was later on availed with document pertaining to the 240 million and found it satisfactory. The committee therefore recommends that the accounting officer should be cautioned by PSST for his negligence. Right Honorable Speaker, I will take you to vote 628, and that is Chikube District Local Government, which had unqualified audit opinion.
Are you looking at vote by vote? Because most of these things are generic.
There are only 3 entities that I'm providing specific, and then we'll look at the general cross-cutting. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Tebandeke, first wait and pass your report. This is an opposition report.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Under Chikube District Local Government, number 1 is funding and absorption of wage, pension, and gratuity. The audit report revealed that Chikube District received 100% of its budget, amounting to 13,140,576,822 shilling, and spent 10,819,867,416 shilling. Resulting to an unspent balance of 2,320,709,406 shilling, representing 18% under absorption. The accounting officer explained, Right Honorable Speaker, that the under absorption of salaries was caused by delayed completion of recruitment process by the District Service Commission. 2, under absorption of pension and gratuity was caused by the IPPS issues that made them unable to pay pension and gratuity. And 3, absence of a functional District Service Commission. The committee observed the following. 1, the district did not have a functional District Service Commission, and the accounting officer did not provide the required technical guidance to the district executive or council on the need to borrow the services of another District Service Commission. 2, later, in an attempt to recruit, the district hired the services of Kibale District Service Commission, but the recruitment process was suspended due to allegation of bribery in the recruitment process. The district went ahead to re-advertise the same positions in total disregard of the earlier advertisement and applications who had shown interest. 3, the committee observed clear signs of conflict of interest, sabotage, and ring-fencing of certain positions to favor some officers who were in acting positions, hence stalling and putting into question the credibility of the recruitment process. 4, most of the senior positions, and those include heads of department and sectors, were in acting capacity. For example, the district engineer, district education officer, district health officer, principal human resource officer, district planner, head of production, district community development officer, and others were all in acting capacity. Despite clearance from Ministry of Public Service to fill the vacant positions, the accounting officer had failed to proceed due to constant conflict of interest in the district. 6, the principal assistant secretary, 1, Mr. Muganzi Samuel, was acting in several administrative positions, secretary to land board, transport officer, chairperson physical planning committee, among others. These has serious implications on his performance and also raises suspicion on the motives of the assignment. 7, there was negligence and connivance by staff to ring-fence key positions. And 8, the committee observed that the PAS, which is the principal assistant secretary, and the senior human resource officer had presented forged accountability documents to the committee. Recommendations. 1, PSST should hold the accounting officer personally liable and reprimand him for failing to perform his duties and causing the return of funds to the consolidated fund. 2, the accounting officer should relieve the current secretary to the District Service Commission, Mr. Joel Munyagire, who has been on assignment, and replace him with a more competent officer as the district undertakes the process of substantively filling the vacant positions of Secretary, District Service Commission. 3, all the vacant positions that have been cleared by Ministry of Public Service should be filled expeditiously. 4, the PSST should hold the accounting officer personally liable for causing financial loss to government through the unnecessary re-advertisement of the same position which had already been advertised earlier on. And 5, the Principal Assistant Secretary, Mr. Muganzi Samuel, and the Senior Human Resource Officer, Patrick Businje, be investigated by police for the alleged forgery of accountability documents with a view of possible prosecution. Right Honorable Speaker, in the interest of time, The next is Oima City, and I'll request that members look at the details and I go to observations and recommendations. But just to throw more light, the audit report revealed after a review of the trial balance that the division did not disclose account item codes for transaction amounting to 720,895,147, and that is under Oima City West Division. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee made observations and recommend that the PSST should reprimand the accounting officer and hold him personally liable for contravening guideline 2.8 as mentioned above. And the next recommendation is that the accounting officer should always ensure strict adherence to guideline 2.8 as stipulated. Vote 537, Right Honorable Speaker, is Mbarara District Local Government with unqualified audit opinion. Right Honorable Speaker, under this we are looking at titling and transfers. The audit report noted that the entity had 78 pieces of land measuring approximately 235.6533 hectares. The entity did not have land titles for 68 pieces of land measuring approximately 113.9 hectares, and the entity had taken 49 years from the time of acquisition without obtaining those documents. Right Honorable Speaker, just to take you to the observation, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee observed laxity by the accounting officer to title the land, and this contravenes Section 49C of the Land Act, Cap 227. 2, some steps had been undertaken to have certain lands titled. 3, the district is involved in a number of land disputes. A case in point is one involving one of its tenants called King of Kings, and the land is 2.5 acres, which matter had been hampered by the prosecution case at the Anti-Corruption Court. And another case is one involving the district and Amproc, a company called Amproc, where Amproc sought for 49 years lease of district land and paid a total of 200 million out of 1.1 billion premium as per the agreement, and was supposed to settle an outstanding balance of 900 million within 5 years, following delays by the tenant. The district, on the other hand, assumed that the 200 million was meant for monthly rent, contrary to the agreement. Right Honorable Speaker, there was also laxity on the side of the tenant to fulfill the agreement as had been suggested. We have recommendations. 1, the accounting officer should engage Amproc and have this matter resolved as advised by Solicitor General, and since the company had already made a down payment of 200 million. This would save the district from unnecessary legal consequences and causing financial loss to government. 2, Amproc should fulfill its obligation as guided by the Solicitor General and complete the payment, in other words, the balance left, as per the valuation report. 3, the accounting officer should make sure that follow-up is made to obtain the ruling from the Anti-Corruption Court to guide on the process of engaging King of Kings Ministries in resolving the land matter. And finally, the accounting officer should ensure that all lands are belonging to Mbarara District Local Government that have been encroached upon are free from all encumbrances and fully documented and titled. Right Honorable Speaker, the next one is also the same, unutilized land, and to take members faster, I will take us to recommendation. The committee again recommended that since there are several land issues in Mbarara District Local Government, the committee recommends that a forensic audit be conducted on all public lands and land owned by the entity. Right Honorable Speaker, the next recommendation is an emphasis for the accounting officer to ensure that all untitled land are given priority in the next financial year. Right Honorable Speaker, I now take you through other key audit matters in local government, and this looks at general and cross-cutting issues. 3.1, budget performance for financial year 2021-2022. The committee has considered audit report for 35 votes under local government for financial year 2021-22 that were appropriated public funds, and in total 39 entities audit reports were considered. Roman number 1, total appropriated budget to local government for financial year 2021-2022. Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament appropriated a total sum of 5,995 billion to all local governments, out of which 5,426 billion, an equivalent of 91% of the approved budget, was warranted and released to local government for service delivery. The shortfall in revenue performance, Right Honorable Speaker, is 568 billion during the financial year based on the warrant. Right Honorable Speaker, the total local revenue approved for all the local government, all this local government I am providing the report, is 223 billion, of which 131 billion was released back to the local government, representing 59%. This warrant or releases based on what the local government collect and is deposited with the consolidated fund as part of the requirement of Section 29(2) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015. The 35 local government votes considered in the audit report, Right Honorable Speaker, had a total approved budget of 41 billion, 41.4 under local
Chair,
revenue.
Natural Resources, let's approve this report, then you go. Let's approve the report.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Can you summarize your report?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. By close of the financial year, a total of 25.89 billion was availed to local governments, translating into 63% release. Right Honorable Speaker, Roman number 3, looks at local government absorption capacity. The 35 local government votes considered were warranted to a total of Uganda shilling 1,275.2 billion, an equivalent of 21.3% of the total warrants to the local government budget during the financial year, and this exclude the local revenues. Right Honorable Speaker, out of the 1,278.2 billion resources warranted to 35 local governments, only 1,163.9 was expended, representing 91% absorption of the budget release. In this regard, 114 billion was returned to the consolidated fund as a result of failure to absorb the resources. And this is from the 38 local government that we are reporting. Right Honorable Speaker, in overall, out of the 5,426.9 billion that was appropriated to all local governments, 4,723 billion was utilized, and leaving an unspent balance of 703 billion returned back to Treasury. Right Honorable Speaker, I have provided a detailed breakdown on all and I have indicated even the performances of the respective local government entities, showing those that performed well and those that did not perform well, including details of how much money each entity returned. For example, Right Honorable Speaker, Mbarara City alone returned 18 billion. Isinjiro District Local Government returned 10.8 billion. Chegegwa returned 9.8 billion. Kagadi District returned 9.8, and many others. Right Honorable Speaker, there are also local governments that perform well, and these local governments include districts like...
Honorable members, when you look at the issue of absorption, that's why it is not good for us to approve these supplementaries at the last moment. Because you're giving somebody money, the person cannot absorb the money. Like we have just given them money. Are you sure they're going to spend that money? They are not going to spend the money.
Right Honorable Speaker, as I said, there are local government entities that are equally performing well with very high absorption level, and these local governments include Bushenyi, Ishaka Municipality, Ibanda District, Rukunjiri District, Kamwenge, and many others. There are also districts that have performed terribly, and they need to be mentioned. And this district include Mbarara City with 67 absorption capacity, Ntungamo 64, Ntoroko 76, Fort Poto 77, and Oima City 77, and Kabale Municipal Council 77. These are below expectation. Right Honorable Speaker, we have provided recommendations And just to be specific, their unabsorption were majorly rotating around the failure to recruit, failure to have teachers posted by Ministry of Education and Sports, and also the issue of use meet, where large sums of monies meant for road works were returned because the procurement processes got delayed, and GOVT. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have provided recommendations. Under that recommendation 1, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should account for the under-released funds to the local governments. 2, entities whose absorption of funds were below 80 be subjected to further investigation to ascertain the underlying factors for the gross underperformance. Right, Honorable Speaker. 3, the accounting officers should develop clear revenue enhancement plans to assist the district in future revenue mobilization. And finally, accounting officers should make follow-up with the Minister of Finance on the shortfalls affecting service delivery. Next, Right Honorable Speaker, is number 3.2, government preparedness to implement the parish development model. Of course, you already know the background. During the financial year 2021-22, 169 local governments had an approved total budget of 175,429,879,581 shillings for PDM activities, out of which the entities received only 108,857,715,367 shillings, representing 62%, leading to a total shortfall of 66.5 billion. And that represents a shortfall of 38%. Right, Honorable Speaker, a review of the audit on government preparedness to implement this intervention indicated that during the financial year mentioned, a number of local governments received funds for implementation of PDM activities without guidance on how funds in a number of local governments would be used, contrary to Regulation 16.1 of the PFMR 2016. Therefore, the initially planned activities under gadgets and tools and staff cost and administrative expenses were not implemented. Right, Honorable Speaker, underfunding of PDM SACCOs. The audit report noted that a number of SACCOs received varying amounts in this particular financial year we are reporting on, ranging from 2.3 million to about 17 million. While other SACCOs did not receive any funding, the funding variation were due to lack of accurate data on the number of parishes. Right, Honorable Speaker, payment of PDM SACCOs before registration, and that is under Roman number 4. The audit report, money for revolving funds was transferred to the SACCOs that were neither registered under the Cooperative Societies Act nor had signed parish revolving fund financing agreement. Roman number 5, Right Honorable Speaker, failure to send funds directly to the PDM SACCOs. The audit report revealed that in some local government entities, funds were released by Minister of Finance to the district account instead of the beneficiary PDM SACCO accounts, contrary to the guidelines. And as a result, some of these local governments diverted the money from the revolving fund to administrative activities without the PSST's guidance. For example, in Ibanda Municipal Council, the committee realized that there are several SACCOs that have money redundant on their accounts and have not been utilized. Even money sent for the last financial year to this day have not been utilized. And these were people meant to carry out mobilization, sensitization, and creating awareness on the PDM programs. And the committee has provided several recommendations, Right Honorable Speaker, and I would request members to run through. Next, Right Honorable Speaker, PSST should always ensure that funds are channeled directly to the registered PDM SACCOs in line with the guideline. 2, government through the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should harmonize the issuance of guidelines. Right Honorable Speaker, there are a lot of contradiction. PDM Secretariat would send a guideline, then another one comes from Ministry of Finance. So this is causing a lot of conflict, and the entities are failing to do their part. We're also recommending that release of funds and issuance of implementation guidelines should be handled concurrently. Right, Honorable Speaker? You find money sent today and the guideline comes after several months, and that is causing problem. Number 4, all monies that were swept back relating to PDM activities be reverted for continuity of the project. The audit report revealed a number of challenges that persisted in the previous, based on previous recommendations and resolutions, and I would like to request that members look through. We have provided in the main report. Let me take you through number 3.31, funding and absorption of wage, pension, and gratuity. 154.583 billion was appropriated to these entities that I'm reporting on to meet salaries, gratuities, and pension by close of the financial year. Interestingly, by end of financial year, out of the 554.29 billion had been availed to pay salaries, and only 524.44 billion was actually absorbed, leaving a total an absorption of 29.845 billion, which was meant for paying pension, salaries, and gratuity, unabsorbed and returned back to the consolidated fund. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have also realized that this lack of absorption stems from delays by District Service Commission, by the districts to constitute the District Service Commission. For example, in Toroko District Local Government took almost 2 years to identify and fully constitute their District Service Commission. There is also late release of recruitment and wage funds by the Minister of Finance, and most local government received this funding towards the end of the financial year and are therefore not able to recruit timely. There is also, there are cases of receiving monies that in excess of what is planned. For example, in Rukiga District, they receive an excess of 850,962,074 shilling in excess. And there is also delays in the submission of requirements for access to pension and gratuity payroll, and inconsistency in the biodata between the IPPS and NERA. We have provided observations, Right Honorable Speaker, and permit me to take you straight to recommendations. Recommendation 1, PSST should all accounting officers who fail to ensure timely recruitment of staff personally liable and reprimand them for causing return of funds to consolidated fund. 2, the accounting officers should institute measures that will ensure timely declaration of vacant positions to the District Service Commission. And the Education Service Commission should ensure strict and timely adherence to recruitment plans to avoid delays in staff recruitment. Local governments should ensure that they are fully constituted District Service Commission to enable timely recruitment of staff. And also, number 5, the provision of the Negotiating, Consultative and Dispute Settlement Machinery Act 2008 should be adhered to. The Minister of Local Government should review the policy on the constitution of the District Service Commission and create a specific time frame within which district councils can constitute. Right, Honorable Speaker, there are many district councils that engage in mere politicking and fail to constitute. And we are recommending that the Minister of Local Government should give a specific time within which each district have this service commission fully constituted the moment the positions are fall vacant. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Public Service should ensure that there is a specific time frame within which responses to permission to recruit from local governments are granted. We experienced, Right Honorable Speaker, like in Kabarole, where they requested for permission to recruit. Last year, in July, and up to this year, March, they'd never received any response from Minister of Public Service, and that caused serious delays in the recruitment of staff. Right Honorable Speaker, accounting officers who fail to ensure that vacant positions are filled after permission to recruit has been granted should be held personally liable and reprimanded for undermining service delivery. Next is 3.4, payment of ineligible persons. Right Honorable Speaker, government lost billions of money due to payment of salaries to ineligible teachers in various individuals discovered in secondary school and tertiary institutions use forged minute numbers to access government payroll. A case in point is Kanungu District Local Government with 12 individuals who forged minutes and earn a total of 97.7 million. And in Kasese District Local Government, 8 secondary school teachers forge documents and earn a total of 83.9 million. Right, Honorable Speaker, there are also cases of overpayment and underpayment of salaries, pension, and gratuity. We have provided details, and we have also provided observations as a committee. Permit me to take you to recommendations. Recommendation 1, the accounting officers of the affected local governments should in future ensure that they adhere to Section BA7 of the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders 2021. 2, the accounting officers should ensure recovery of overpaid amounts from the affected persons. 3, accounting officers should ensure processing of payments of top-up salary amounts in respect of the persons who were underpaid. 3, the accounting officers should liaise with the Minister of Public Service to reconcile the different salary amounts paid to their respective entity employees. And finally, for use of wrong bands, the accounting officers should ensure correct payments are made in compliance with Section BA6 and 7 and Section BC 1 of the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have management of deductions. That is under 3.6. We have provided details, and the committee has also provided observations that members can look through. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have provided recommendations under that, and please permit me to just mention these 2 recommendations. 1, government through the Ministry of Public Service should ensure that the human capital management system accurately deducts a local service tax from all employees in accordance with the Income Tax Act. 2, in the meantime, the accounting officers should make sure recoveries are done from staff from whom less local service tax deducted. 3.7 is under non-deductions. We have also provided details and their observations that the committee has provided. We have recommendations where we are recommending that the Minister of Public Service should harmonize the deductions with the respective financial entities to avoid financial loss to staff. This is informed by the fact that government of the Republic of Uganda, represented by the Minister of Public Service, entered into a service agreement with UCLA and UBA on 3rd January 2020 to manage the loan deductions for all civil servants. And next recommendation is that the Minister of Public Service should review the agreement signed with the lenders with a view of streamlining the irregularities in the management of salary management of salary loans. And recommendation 3, the accounting officers should ensure that strict adherence to Section 2.12 and 2.14 of the service agreement between the government of Uganda and these lenders. And finally, we are recommending that government should expeditiously roll out the HCM, the human capital management system, to resolve most of these irregularities that local governments are experiencing. Number 3.8, Right Honorable Speaker, is on delayed access to payroll, where the committee, there are still local government entities that take between 5 to 12 months before staff are enrolled onto the payroll. We also found out, Right Honorable Speaker, that there are local governments that take actually between 50 to 110 months before pensioners begin to access their benefits. And this is absurd. And we have provided observations. We have also recommended, Right Honorable Speaker, that we have provided recommendation, and to be specific, recommendation number 1, the accounting officers should in future ensure to adhere to Section BA 11 of the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders, which require accounting officers to ensure that public officers access payroll within 4 weeks from the date of assumption of duty. 2, accounting officers should ensure payment of salary arrears to newly appointed staff that accrued from delayed access to payroll. And we also recommended that NERA should expeditiously handle the processes of issuing national IDs, since it is hindering the processes of accessing the payroll. And number 4, the accounting officers should adhere to paragraph 5.1 of the establishment notice number 1 of 2020, which bestows on the responsible officers the responsibility of initiating and completing the processing of retirement benefits within 6 months to the mandatory retirement date. Number 5, the accounting officers should ensure expeditious processing of pension arrears that accrue on account of delayed access to the pension payroll. Number 6, Ministry of Public Service should initiate a system that automatically transition employees from the salary payroll to pension payroll once they clock the retirement age. Right, Honorable Speaker, we would like to emphasize many retirees are suffering because they have to start afresh getting documents and submitting to access their details when they have actually been in the system. So we think the ministry needs to develop that system that automatically they move to benefit from their retirement efforts. And finally, pensioners need to be prepared for access to retirement benefits prior to obtaining the mandatory retirement age to avoid time lags. We are recommending this, Right Honorable Speaker, because we have experience in many districts where some pensioners give up because they do not know what to do. Number 3.81, delayed deletion of staff from payroll. We have observed, right, on many officers who have either abandoned, absconded, transferred services, or died continue to draw salaries. And this is contrary to Section BA12 of the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders. You find money still being paid to their accounts. It's illegal and contravenes Section BA12, as I stated. And we have provided observations, Right Honorable Speaker, and we are also providing recommendations. One, going forward, the accounting officers should ensure the management of an accurate staff salary payroll in line with Section BA12 of the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders 2021. 2, the accounting officers should recover the said money from the beneficiaries within 3 months from the time of adoption of the report. We have provided the details in the bigger report for each entities that have paid money to people who should have not received, and we are recommending that recoveries be made. All those individuals would be forced to pay from their pockets to raise the money they expected, and we think there should be inclusivity. The next, Right Honorable Speaker, is number 3.10, Uganda intergovernmental fiscal transfers. We have also provided details, and I pray members look through. I now would like to beg that this report be adopted by this House. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. And you'll find the collections are too poor in most of these local governments, and yet at the same time, that is the money which is supposed to be used for most of this. But at the same time, the NTR, these people collect their money. Finance takes it. When finance takes it, they ask for money, they can't give them. Finance will really have a problem in this. Because it takes them long, you find the garbage in Soroti is too much. But you can't even provide them just one truck to collect the garbage. And yet they have collected funds given to you, and you cannot send back the money. And then this needs, local governments need to improve on capacity building of their members, people working with them. The PDM has been given there. It's like a white elephant. The money is not being utilized. It's just given. I think our people are making accountability. The payroll management is still a problem. And then the accounting officers that we have. If we have accounting officers that are not performing, why don't we sack them? Even as MPs, when we don't perform, they remove us, not so. But we have accounting officers who are not performing. They transfer them from Amuria to Bukedea to Masakas to Chikoni. You're just recycling. You're recycling and taking the advice from one district to the other. How shall we improve? So there is that problem. We cannot afford having accounting officers who are not performing. You recycle them. At the end of the day, the advice goes through the whole country. Minister of Finance, we need an action on that, on accounting officers. We want a surprise. It will be a big surprise from Minister of Finance that we have fired these accounting officers.
The report from the chairperson is good, and I want to appreciate him for that effort.